Jaylen. That'll wake him up.
In case you didn't know it, the Atlanta Hawks need to be on your radar as one of the scariest up-and-coming teams in the NBA. Their new general manager, Onsi Salea, made 2 incredible trades this offseason, as well as some savvy under-the-radar free agent signings. First, Salea acquired Kristaps Porzingis from Boston in exchange for the 22nd overall pick. Salea also shed Georges Niang and Terrence Mann's contract as part of the deal. If Porzingis can stay on the court, he will be a massive addition for Atlanta. He has the potential to lift them into a top 5 team in the East. When healthy, Porzingis is one of the most unique two-way weapons in the league. And he's going to open up a lot in Atlanta. Hold tight, I'll explain in way more detail. But Salea wasn't done. By some miracle, if you're a Hawks fan, Salea managed to trade the 13th overall pick to the Pelicans for the 23rd overall pick and a 2026 unprotected first-round pick. The pick will be the earlier selection between New Orleans or Milwaukee's first at next year's draft. New Orleans won only 21 games last year. They just traded CJ McCollum away for Jordan Poole and traded Brandon Ingram to the Raptors at the deadline. Meanwhile, there is no indication that DeJounte Murray is going to be healthy anytime soon after tearing his Achilles. There is a high likelihood that their pick is in the top 5 next year.
To give that away unprotected is one of the most baffling, seismic decisions.
A year ago, the Hawks won the lottery and drafted Zaccharie Risacher, first overall in one of the most highly criticized drafts in modern history. Shortly after, they traded away DeJounte Murray to New Orleans for 2 first-round picks, a few cap dumps, and Dyson Daniels, a once highly touted prospect that was struggling to earn a regular spot in the Pelicans' rotation. Turns out, Risacher and Daniels were way better than anyone expected. 2 of the best two-way players in the league. Amongst players aged 21 or younger, Daniels and Risacher both finished top 10 in points per game. But they aren't just scorers. Dyson Daniels won the most improved player in the league and was a nominee for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Moving in, KCP, and he's stripped by the Great Barrier Thief. Takes it all the way home. Fox gets in. Fox trying to win it. Take it away! Daniels got the steal, and the Hawks have won the game!
The 6'8" guard led the NBA with 3 steals per game while also leading the league in deflections. Meanwhile, Risacher finished second in Rookie of the Year voting by steadily improving through the season and showing potential to be an elite two-way sharpshooter.
So just spins off that first defender. Oh, come on, that's close enough. Shoot.
The fact that these guys do most of their damage off the ball sets up Atlanta perfectly in the future, because Atlanta already has 2 stars that need the rock in their hands: Trae Young and Jaylen Johnson. Most basketball fans are pretty acquainted with Young at this point, one of the most heliocentric players on the planet. In fact, Trae Young led the NBA in passes received this past year by a pretty wide margin, and rightfully so. Young is one of the most dangerous offensive players on the planet right now.
Watch this. Fakes the behind the back, right up and in.
Still just 26 years old, Young practically averaged 24 points and 12 assists to lead the league last year. But he's also a polarizing player since he is one of the worst defenders in the league due to his lack of size and strength, and is very inefficient, largely due to the incredible load he's expected to carry for his inexperienced team. The good news is that he's no longer the only star player in town. Jaylen Johnson is an absolute stud for them.
And Okongwu right over.
No stopping Jaylen Johnson.
Take that one.
A do-it-all, hyper-athletic, two-way impact scorer, defender, and playmaker.
Get about that play to open the game.
Yeah, that was amazing. Here's LeBron blocked underneath, and who else but Johnson?
He was one of only 9 players last year who averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game amongst elite company. Johnson is also the perfect complement to Trae Young because he is equally dangerous playing off the ball as he is with the rock in his hands. A bit undersized for a forward, but makes up for it with skill and athleticism. Johnson is one of the league's most talented finishers at the rim, in transition, and in the short mid-range. He's also a very underrated passer, especially as a connector piece that can find the open man when Trae Young gets blitzed. Just check out his stats next to Jalen Williams of OKC, a guy who won the championship as a number 2 option and is touted as one of the brightest young stars in the league. Unfortunately, Johnson's season ended early when he suffered a shoulder injury on January 29th. Until Johnson got injured, the Hawks seemingly had their defensive issues solved with a 108.7 defensive rating. Had Atlanta finished the season with that defensive rating, they would have placed 2nd in the league. In the games without Johnson, Atlanta's defensive rating dropped to a horrendous 119.7, 3rd worst. Johnson's defensive impact is that critical for Atlanta. Still, even after they lost Johnson, the record remained close to 500, finishing the year at 40-42. How did they manage to win games without JJ? Well, look no further than their rookie we discussed earlier, Zaccharie Risacher. Risacher went pretty awful to outstanding, especially for a 19-year-old to keep the Hawks afloat. Still, the drastic spiral in defensive rating without Johnson was a serious reason for concern. But Atlanta addressed this in a major way with the Porzingis trade.
Messi rejected by Porzingis. He met him at the apex.
When he's healthy, Porzingis is one of the world's elite shot contesters. Last year, he finished 4th in the league in shots contested per game, right in between Wembanyama and Defensive Player of the Year, Evan Mobley. He was particularly impactful near the basket. When Porzingis was defending within 5 feet of the basket, he held his opponents to the 2nd lowest field goal percentage in the league, only behind world champion Chet Holmgren.
One man to beat, but it's a 7-footer who blocks it again.
To compare his interior defensive stats to both Hawks centers from last year, Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu, you can see that Porzingis is a substantially better defender. As you move further away from the basket, it might look like Capella was superior to Porzingis, but that's just an illusion. The Hawks primarily played and dropped coverage on screens last year, meaning Clint Capella rarely switched out onto perimeter players. In contrast, the Celtics switch everything on defense, and Porzingis is tasked with defending offensive players around the perimeter. With so many rangy, young defenders in Atlanta, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Snyder ran some lineups where they switched on screens next season.
Rejected by Daniels. Toppin on a bounce to Shepard, rejected by Risacher.
Then we have Porzingis' impact on offense. Trae Young loves passing up lobs and is almost exclusively working in the pick and roll in the half court. Capella was always considered to be an elite lob threat, but Porzingis is going to be a huge upgrade on the offensive end. Amongst players that were frequently used as rollers in pick and roll last year, Porzingis was 4th best in the league. Okongwu was 3rd. Porzingis is going to fill in beautifully on offense. Above that, the 7'2" unicorn drilled 2.5 3-pointers per game and over 40% accuracy. And he's amongst the best post-up players in the world. As stated, when Porzingis is healthy, he is a huge factor and a weapon that will almost undoubtedly improve the Hawks on both ends of the floor. Health is a concern for Porzingis, but he only has 1 year remaining on his contract. If things don't work out health-wise, they can rid themselves of him in a year and free up $30 million in spending money. And if that wasn't all enough, the Hawks added 2 shooting guards to their roster in free agency: Luke Kennard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Walker is more of a two-way shooting guard with a reputation of being feisty and skilled in Minnesota. He shot 38% from 3 off the bench last season while holding his opponents to below 35% from long range. Kennard, on the other hand, is all offense, one of the best shooters in the business. His career 3-point shooting percentage sits at .438. These guys will give Atlanta a little more depth and optionality in their backcourt. The fact of the matter is, the Atlanta Hawks are all of a sudden one of the most talent-laden and young organizations in the league. Atlanta is loaded with some of the most athletic, long, and defensive-minded young players like Jaylen Johnson, Dyson Zaccharie Risacher, and Onyeka Okongwu. With Trae Young potentially entering the prime of his career, the potential top 5 draft pick that they practically stole from the Pelicans might just be the cherry on top. Give these guys a few seasons and they very well could be a juggernaut. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please let us know by hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to Sports Insight.